Hey, folks, thank you for stopping by Kaiser's Castle. Take a seat on my big orange couch. The drawbridge is lowered. Grab yourself a coffee, tea, a soda, or an adult libation. Now, to as you know, we are the most interactive channel on YouTube, and if somebody asks a question and we have something to say on it, we will respond. Swifty asked Baz what exactly certain things were about the IRA. And with that being said, Baz, start the show, brother.
Cheers. Thanks for having me on again, brother. Big shout out to Swifty. I know he started watching the channel. I've known him for a long, long time since we were kids. Good guy, good guy. And he asked a question um, of the both of us, and it's sort of like obviously yourself, Shuff, has sort of fired this one towards me because it's certainly in my remit. He basically asked about what the actual situation was with the IRA, with the prosecutions of some of our older soldiers that we've touched on before, and obviously the fuck about that is Brexit, us leaving the European Union. Just to answer that question, what it basically is, I'm not going to start boring people with the politics of things because it's only going to be a shorter show today, so I'll keep it short and cut to the chase. Basically, with us leaving the European Union, Northern Ireland is still under. When I say under British rule, it's a part of the United Kingdom, where Southern Ireland, the Republic Island, isn't. Um, and basically, what everybody's sort of like fucking crying about is that part of the deal of us leaving, or we have, I haven't got a deal at the minute, but one of the stipulations of us leaving the European Union is to take control of our own borders. Now, if we take control of our own borders, the Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland border is a porous border. It's not a hard border like the US Mexican border or the Canadian border. It's a porous border. Basically, it's just a line on a map. Um, and obviously, the Republican movement in Northern Ireland is having a bit of a flap on that there's going to be a hard border put in place, and therefore it's sort of started a resurgence in sort of the support for the Irish Republican movement, as in the IRA, or there's another one it's been around for a while, but it's getting more traction. It's called the 32 CSM, 32 County Sovereignty Movement, obviously because Ireland as one nation is 32 counties, so it's called the 32 CSM. And basically, all these are the old and bold of the IRA standing back and letting the younger ones take charge with direction given from obviously the Army Council, which is obviously in Northern Ireland and down in Dublin. Um, all I'll say on that matter is nothing's going to change. You don't hear about it on the news in the UK, certainly not in the US, but they're still trying to carry out bombing campaigns against security forces, the police, and things like that. They're still carrying out paramilitary action, military funerals and stuff like that, where some of these old and bold IRA that are now dying off of old age and cancer and all that good stuff, because it is good stuff, these fucking lizards dying off. They're getting pistols fired over the coffins and things like that. And the police are quite sort of reluctant to do anything about it because it's quite biased over in Northern Ireland at the minute. But all I'll say on that matter is, if it does sort of flare back up, we've still not pulled out of Northern Ireland. When I say we, I say the British military. Okay, the British military, the British security and intelligence services are still have got a very strong presence in Northern Ireland, at all different levels, overt and covert. And we knew who all these people were back in the 80s, back in the 90s, certainly in the 90s. And like we've always said, we could have ended that conflict in a matter of hours, with hard arrests, probably just kicking people's doors and then shooting these fucking animals in the face. But that would be, no one would accept that. No one would accept that at all. Us executing hundreds and hundreds of British citizens. But all I'll say is social media and things like that have made it easier now to identify people because loose lip sync ships. There's people videoing these events on Facebook, on Twitter, on Snapchat, and all this shit. Without some of these active shooters' knowledge, if you know what I mean. So it's easy to identify people now through geolocation and all things like that. pictures. So if it does, there is a resurgence of violence in Northern Ireland, then I would dare say certainly the British government, the British Security Service, and hopefully the PSNI, the Police Service in Northern Ireland, have got a decent handle on it, and it won't be too hard to put some of these people behind bars. So Swifty, again, shout out to you, brother. Glad that you're listening to the shows, and I hope that answers your question. That's all good, bro.
All good, man. You handled it like only you could on this subject, and I just wanted to add, people always forget the Irish Republican Army. There's nothing Republican about it. What it is a communist movement. And Baz and I both know this, and that's why we both have a disdain for it. And that sort of blends right into the topic of today. Under the United States Constitution, we have a lot of rights in that Bill of Rights, don't we? And the thing about the Bill of Rights is nowhere in there does it say you have a right not to have your feelings hurt. And that's pretty much where we're going to go. We were having an offline discussion for a second because Baz has got to run. So this is going to be a quickie, folks. Hence the reason why no music, which normally would be provided by Axion Ghost. There'll be no music in this one. Still go over to Axion Ghost. His YouTube channel, I'll still pimp his normal channel on this show. And listen to his music if you want to dig on it. It's good stuff. But we were talking about it, and I said, I remember offline, this is in the 90s under Clinton, 2 kids had eaten a Pop-Tart, but they made the Pop-Tart when they ate it to look like a gun, and they were having like a bang-bang shootout, cops and robbers thing out in the play yard, and all of a sudden the police were called. It was handled like they had guns. And if you want to think, and everybody else can think about a time when they think this bullshit feelings hurt and all the other ridiculousness started. Now, mass shootings started with Columbine. Nobody can dispute that. The 2 idiots that did that stupid shit. And of course, the gangbangers have been doing it since the 80s. Drive-by shootings was called that for a reason. And Chicago leads the nation in that kind of bullshit. But other than that, your thoughts on different things that you saw going on in England, the thing that we touched on, and how the stupidity is also here in America.
Yeah, it's almost the protection of people's feelings. It's become sort of like a justice-led sort of thing. Like, why is like the Department of Justice and the Ministry of Justice having to take people to court because police charges have been brought against someone because somebody's fucking feelings have been hurt? Like we spoke on, there was a guy over in the US that's just been arrested for pointing at someone and making sort of a gun sign, a gun firing sign. You know what I mean? As if he's been having an altercation with somebody, and he's sort of like pulled his finger pistols out at this person. And this guy's been arrested and charged, because somebody felt threatened, or fucking, where does it end? I mean, it was the same as Count Dankula over here when he was arrested and charged for getting his dog to do the Sieg Heil hands, the Nazi hand salute.
The Roman salute, yes.
Yeah, it's a dog. It doesn't know that what that means. It was just a prank. And obviously it was on, again, social media has led to outrage, because once it goes online, you have no control of who sees it. And obviously it's hard to keep a fence around it. And therefore it spreads, it goes viral. And before you knew it, it's somebody looking at it. It's going, "No, I don't like that." And they're getting in touch with police forces. They're getting in touch with Facebook standards or whoever. And at best, you're getting your profile pulled on social media. Worst case scenario, you're having the door kicked off its fucking hinges, and you're put in cuffs and dragged to a police cell where you're prosecuted for whatever fucking fairy tale charge they want to dream up and charge you with, all because somebody can't control their own emotions and feelings, so they want police officers and trading standards to do it for them, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah,
it's getting out of control.
We call it swatting here in the U.S., where they, neighbors call the police, they make up some story. I mean, they've actually had people killed for that. You know,
Yeah,
somebody.
it's quite prevalent in the gaming community. You know, these people that actually it's called Twitch or streamers, where they're actually streaming them playing their computer games online, and they've got subscribers that put donations towards them. And some of these people make
Oh
millions and
yeah,
millions of dollars. But you know, and it happens. Somebody might have a grudge against them because they've killed them in game, and because obviously people are tech savvy now and tech aware, they can find people's details before you know it. These people, and you can go onto YouTube and actually type in streamer being swatted, and there's thousands of people getting the doors kicked in off the hinges and fucking SWAT teams or you know what I mean, armed response units coming into their home and holding them at gunpoint. Some of the times, it's like, look, it's a fucking joke, and the police can see that. Some of these police officers are now aware of it, and there's been times where people have actually been killed
yep.
because they haven't taken the correct actions. I think it's a joke or whatever, you know. Especially in the States, I mean, you hear someone creeping around your house in the States, and it's got stand your ground lords or whatever you want to call them.
It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, you pull a pistol out because a lot of these people have got headsets on, like I've got now. You hear a bang, you might not hear someone announce themselves as a police officer, or you hear someone trespassing in your own property. You pull out your gun, all of a sudden the fucking door gets kicked open. There's two armed police officers there, and you've got a gun in your hand. It's not going to end well, if you know what I mean.
It's here's how much sense this makes. There was a swatting incident. There's two of them I'll talk about real quick. We'll lightly touch on them. One was some black kid at Walmart. There was an AR style looking, what do you call those? Not paintball, but the other kind of airsoft gun that Walmart sold. And the kid's walking around, looking at it, talking on the phone, you know, probably saying, should I get it? Should I not? He's walking by a woman with her kids. There's nobody even acting odd about it because they can probably see it as an orange end or whatever. And he was a black young gentleman, and I mean, the police showed up. They got called on him, and just some idiot called that in. That guy went to prison that did that, and that called it in. And the police come around the corner, and all they're seeing is the buttstock, the hand grip. You know, it's such a quick decision they have to take, but they just came around the corner doing the tactical corner. They saw the gun, and he just looks at him, cell phone in one hand, the AR in the other, and he still, you know, he just walked by a woman and her child in a bath cart. And they ventilated him, you know, so he's dead now. Yeah. And, you know, that guy who did that went to prison, as he should have. And another one was somebody in a gaming community, you know, said they were being held hostage or some crap in somebody's basement. But the problem was he had the wrong house. SWAT team kicks in the door, throws in a flashbang. The flashbang goes into the baby's little crib with the baby in it, wounds the baby. And, of course, you know, nothing but bad things happen after that. It's the same thing with them shooting dogs. You know, there's a lot of weirdness. And I understand some of it as well as you do. Tactically and technically, I understand it. But here's the thing nobody thinks about is the soldier or the cop who had done that. Nobody's going to feel worse than those people. But still, it's something we've touched on quite a bit on this channel, is that need to stay off the trigger. You know, that once, I don't care if your finger's on the trigger, once you're pulling back, you're eventually going to break that trigger, and it's going to go bang. And your hope is that you're not applying the pressure to it, even though, you know, microseconds count. You and I both know this. Hopefully you have enough discipline and training, and I think the key is training on this, to not fully get it right to that breaking point and stop. And all you got to do is that quick, and if you need to. And hopefully you don't need to. You understand what I mean?
Yeah. I think what I know that some of your the American forces do it, and I'm not. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I know what we used to do, especially for places like Northern Ireland, what's called judgmental trainers, where it's like an indoor range, and the weapon systems that you've got are the real weapon systems, but they fire out a laser. And
Right.
basically, when you squeeze the trigger, it goes bang. The working parts go to the rear, but it's all like sort of gas. Do you know what I
Gas
mean? It's got
operated.
yeah,
Yep.
gas operated.
We call it the weaponeer over here. Yeah.
Yeah, basically, it's like different scenarios are put up on this screen, and you go through same your escalation of violence.
Right.
It's all interactive, and then you've got to if you need to shoot, you need to shoot. But afterwards, you give a full debrief, and there's a reason for it. It's you go, okay, what led you to this? How many rounds did you fire? At what point did you realise that there was a threat to life? Whatever, and how many? You know what I mean? Where did you aim? At what point did you think this is it? And you've got to justify your actions. And it's all, again, to highlight what's called the fog of war, you know, where some people think, he got out of a blue car wearing a red top, so I put 6 rounds into him. Well, he got out of a red car wearing a green top, and you put 12 rounds into him. And it's just that because people, it's got a tunnel vision. And that's what happens to especially police officers that are dealing with it every day. But if they're not doing judgmental trainers, the only judgmental training they're getting is real-life situations. And inevitably, if you're inexperienced, 9 times out of 10, you're going to make a wrong decision, whether that wrong decision is saying the wrong thing, leading all the way up to on the other end of the scale, where you've squeezed the trigger because you wanted to shoot a dog, like it happened to a police officer over there not so long ago. The round hit the dog's spine, ricocheted off the dog's spine, and killed a woman that was standing 10 feet beyond the dog because he didn't look at depth targets because he had that tunnel vision. You know what I mean? So again, that's the only reason that can be nullified through training and experience. And I think that's all that I'll say on that matter, because obviously we're delineating from the actual conversation.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, where the break in the trigger is, we all know how to reset the trigger on our pistols and rifles. And if you stop at that break point, we all know it if we've handled guns long enough. And that's one of the reasons why I like Glock so much. I mean, the Smith & Wesson M&P has the same kind of thing where it's, you know, you can actually feel it and hear it after you fire it around when it resets. And you just get used to where that reset is. And it's a quick break. You're not pulling the trigger. You're not jerking it. It's still that slow, steady squeeze, but you're almost at that point. And, you know, staying off the trigger is key. And honestly, you know, I don't really like, you've known this as well as everybody in the community knows I hate guns. They just happen to be something that is in my toolkit. You know, it's not like I have I'm not a gun queer, as you know. It's just not my thing. But I'm not averse to people owning guns. I think everybody should. Every man, woman, and child in the world should have a rifle, pistol, and shotgun to maintain their freedom. If not, look at what happened to Hong Kong and what's going on right now. Now, with that being said, let's get off this subject and back on the real one. So we did diverge for a second, but it all stems to the same thing, where people think they have a right to not have their feelings hurt. You know, bullying. I think even bullies, if memory serves from high school, even bullies got bullied sometimes. And everybody gets bullied. And it gives you a thick skin. It gives you something that, you know, every word that's said is not going to affect you. You know, you're going to, but during that Pop-Tart time, that was during the time where, you know, every child's precious. And you and I both agree they are. But the problem is, we have to let children be children too in some ways. You know, when we start helmeting kids up, you know, basically putting them in bubble wrap for basic activities that kids do, like riding a bicycle, or what they used to call those, the big wheels back in the 70s and 80s. Remember them?
Yeah.
I don't think they went out of fashion until the 80s, but when they first, they still had a smattering of them in the 90s. I remember early 90s, and you'd see some kid out there on his big wheel, helmet, elbow pads, knee pads, and I just look at him and go, why don't you just wrap the kid in bubble wrap? You know, it made no sense.
Yeah, it just leads to this protective sort of bubble around people that they seem to inherit into, like, young and later adult life, you know, where what I'll do is I'll tag you in this video that I've seen on YouTube, brother. and I think it's been in one of the groups that we're quite active in, with other like-minded people, where there's a left-wing sort of debate going on in I can only think it's like the west coast of America, where there's all these they're calling each other comrade, and they're going point of personal privilege. Please don't clap. Please don't like mutter or whisper while I'm speaking because it triggers me. And then somebody stands up and says another point of personal privilege. Please don't use gendered language. There's safe spaces, but if you go into these safe spaces, please don't wear aggressive scents like perfumes because it triggers people. And I'm just thinking, are these fucking people for real? You know, these people want to take a trip to like the east coast of Africa and just walk around places like Kenya, or go to places, you know what I mean, where it's not a first world country, where people don't have the luxury of going, please don't wear aggressive scents within 15 feet of me because it triggers me, or don't make loud noises while I'm speaking because it triggers me. You know, people just, it's a plastic world they live in.
It's the Democratic Communist Party of America. That's the one you're talking about. Everybody's seen that. It's a viral video. That's a real video. That's not a joke. And the thing about it is, it makes as much sense. I don't know if it hit you probably have heard about it, and it's happened numerous times. One was a lesbian couple that decided to go bicycling to prove that everybody was nice, and they both end up raped and killed. I think that was in Africa somewhere. Sudan, I think, if I'm not mistaken. And the other one was a boyfriend and girlfriend, and they're biking for peace, you know, on their bicycles, doing the green thing. And it's like they have this illusion that the world is such a sweet, kind place. And it's really not. Even in the West. I mean, you know, you have to understand, and I hate to say this because we both love our countries. The problem is that thin veil of security and safety that you think you have, it takes only a breath for that veil to be torn apart. And I'll give you an example. This just happened the other day. I saw a video on it, dude. It made me cringe. Some fat bitch, and she ends up being a professor of liberal arts in some college.
Surprise.
Yeah, surprise, right? Wait till you hear. A husband and a wife with their little blonde-haired daughter and son. The wife has the son holding his hand. The husband's holding the daughter's hand. It's like evening. They're walking with their kids. Probably went to get ice cream or something, or we're going there, having a normal day. The bitch has a 10-inch fucking butcher knife, and she's going to stab this kid, the boy's eyes out.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
About cuts his nose off. She starts stabbing at the mother, the father, and the daughter, and just walks away. And then the policewoman the next day is just walking her out in handcuffs. And it's like she just destroyed an entire family's life over what? Her perceived political beliefs. They could believe the same way she did.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know them from Adam. And, of course, she'll go for some mental defense or some bullshit. But in all honesty, brother, somebody like that, and I do believe in certain things, and somebody like that, when you've proven, and I think the same thing about pedos, if you decide you want to destroy a child's life, it's over for you. There is no second chance on that. You're
no longer human.
Yeah,
you're no longer a human being. You know what I mean? Yeah. All human rights that shouldn't be fucking taken from you. If you want to take a knife to a child's eyes or his face, or her, you want to molest a child, you're no longer a fucking human being. You should be struck off the list. And any of the rights that these people claim to have, they should be taken along with this. Like, remember the rendition that used to go on on the global war of terror. It should be something like that, where you're just taken into a fucking set of ISO containers where it's not on sovereign soil.
Yep.
And you just fucking destroyed. You just put into a fucking wood chipper and spat out to sea. You know.
I hate to say that, but
on that subject of that woman taking a knife to a kid, I would have decapitated with her own knife.
Oh yeah, they're probably one of these families that, just like those bikers, You know, they live in this safety bubble. They have no situational awareness, and of course, she attacks the boy because the mother's holding the boy, and she knows that the father is going to resist if she goes after the girl.
Yeah.
But who knows what went through her goofy mind? But the point is, you can't live without situational awareness and an actual real politic view of the world. I hate to say it in that manner, but it is. It has become realpolitik. And, I guarantee you she saw two white, blonde-haired little kids with a nice little family and thought they were Trump supporters. And she was enraged. I'll bet money it was something stupid like that.
Some bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's two worlds to me. There's the real world, and then there's this plastic world that these triggered individuals live in. Now, don't get me wrong. I know there is individuals out there that have gone through traumatic instances in their past, and they do have PTSD, like soldiers, like paramedics, like fucking law enforcement, or rape victims, or people of violent crime and stuff like that. But because someone was abused verbally in college 15 years ago, they don't have fucking PTSD.
No,
you don't have PTSD. Fuck off.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
It's not even that, man. I mean, at Chappelle's new show, I don't know if you've seen it yet. If not, folks, watch Dave Chappelle's new show. An Ohioan, by the way. Dave Chappelle is talking about, something about rape or something, right? And this woman gets up and she's like, I can't believe you're talking about rape. I survived rape. And he goes, you're right. It's not your fault that you got raped. And he goes, it's not mine. You see what I'm saying? And that's the thing. And that's what counseling should be for that stuff, is to let somebody know, yes, it's not your fault, but you can't take it out on the world forever, because the world's not all like that. You had a bad situation. I mean, I can't say that makes as much sense as the bad guys you and I dealt with in Iraq and Afghanistan, and we judge the entire Iraq and Afghanistani people on the same level as those fucking terrorists.
Yeah, and Muslims.
Yeah, and Muslims in general. Yeah,
it's like the IRA. They're all cunts, and that means all Irish people are cunts, and all Catholics are cunts. By saying that, my wife's a cunt.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because she's Irish and she's Catholic. You know what I mean? It's just a small number of fucking dickheads that have chosen to go a certain way. But what's sort of gripping me is, going back to the subject of these triggered people, that this is becoming the norm now, where it was once a minority, it's growing legs, and all of a sudden this PTSD, it's a trend to have this victimhood culture. I've got PTSD. Who said you've got PTSD? No one. It's self-diagnosed. Then guess what? You haven't got fucking PTSD.
Right.
You've got some mental issues going on, true or false. You know what I mean? But it's not PTSD until someone turns around and says, you have got PTSD, or you've got an issue that we can work through,
Yeah.
And there's different levels of PTSD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But to let it rule your life, if you've seen something truly horrific as in your line of work or whatever, and it's starting to take over your life, that's PTSD.
Yeah.
Just because someone picked on you or called you a fat bitch on the subway 10 years ago, that's not PTSD. Someone's just a cunt.
Yeah.
That you don't have to start judging everybody by that. All men are pigs because some man who just had zero social skills called me a fat cunt on the subway 10 years ago. All of a sudden, all men are pigs. I've been raped, the patriarchy,
Yeah.
You're my personal... And it's fucking pathetic.
There's
one in Australia at the minute where a woman is suing her neighbours because the smell of... She's vegan, fucking surprise. She's extreme left-wing feminist, and she's now suing her neighbours because they had a barbecue and the smell of the meat came onto her property. So she's actually taking him to court and suing him over it because she could smell meat as a vegan. I'm like, at what point does a judge turn around and say, okay, that's a legitimate case? You know what I mean? I've just put the hammer down on a rape case. Yesterday I put it down on a child murder case. Now I'm going to put the hammer down on this woman who smelt fucking cooking meat.
Yeah.
What the fuck is going on in these people's minds?
Well,
you know what I mean? It's a plastic world where this bubble at some point is going to pop, and then they aren't in that world anymore, and they're in our world, the real fucking world where people die, where people get stabbed, where people are chopped up and burned, or it's what happens?
I can draw the line on this one in America when it started. I'll never forget. I had a 73-year-old. We called her aunt. I think me and you have talked about Edie and Opie, and Edie and Opie were both smokers, and my twin sister was allergic to smoke. So of course, if they were going to smoke, they didn't smoke around her. And but I'll never forget her saying it started in the 70s when they started this whole shit about smoking. And it was always for the children. That's always the excuse. It's for the children, for the children. And it's the bubble wrap culture thing we were talking about. And she said, if they take a right from you and smoking's a human right, she goes, you'll never get it back. And you have seen them in California on the West Coast, I think in some New York places. You can't even smoke in your own apartment or house.
Crazy.
Yeah, and well, it's the same as barbecue coming over wafting by scent, and I can smell it, and I'm offended by it.
Yeah, offended.
Yeah, it's nonsensical. When offense, I'm offended by something, means I should restrict you. The offense, and I do think it's coming around full circle. I think the ridiculousness the majority of normal people are fed up with it. And everybody could always justify smoking for the kids and all this shit. But I remember as a kid running in to grab a pack of cigarettes for my mother from out of the car. Or when she was working at the bar, going over to the cigarette machine, pulling the little lever, putting the money in, pull the lever, get the smokes, and give them to my mom. It was never a big deal.
Yeah, even as a kid, my mum used to send me to the store, the shop, with a note saying, "Can I have 20 fucking Benson and Hedges or whatever smokes she had?" And the person in the shop would go, "Okay, then there's a cigarettes because you've got a note from your mum. I'll take them." You know what I mean? It was just accepted back then. And then, can you imagine doing that these days? If I was a child, I'd have been put into protective custody, because of somebody's like, oh, she's sending her children out for these fucking offensive fucking items, And what it comes down to is, are we that comfortable in our society now, where the be all and end all of our sort of existence is the protection of each other's feelings?
Right.
It's crazy.
Well,
what would happen if tomorrow, and this is just, I know it's sort of an immature outlook on it, but let's say a zombie apocalypse happened tomorrow, or a massive natural disaster on the scale of New Orleans, but on a global, on a national scale. You know what I mean? Where do these people?
They'll die. They'll die,
Yeah,
or they'll kill themselves. Honestly, that's what they do. Or they just become food for the others. Here's another point. I remember in Cleveland Heights, my Opa and his boys would be together drinking, talking, and they actually sold buckets of beer. And me and a friend of mine, Jimmy, we would go over and they'd have us run to go get a bucket of beer for them. Well, we figured out how to make some money doing this. And there was one of these old... It looks like a well pump, but it was just you lifted up on it and water came out of it, but it looked like an old-fashioned pump, a pump for water. And so what we do is we got an extra bucket. I can't remember how we schemed it, but we got an extra bucket. And we put that bucket, half of the beer in there, and lifted the water spigot and took it to them after they were a little looped. And I'm sure they knew it was getting watered down. But anyway, so they're drinking it, and then they'd give us more money to go get some more. We'd go get it, pour half of, into the other one. And then the last couple ones, we'd pour and add the water, right? And the funniest part about it was those last couple, we pocketed that money, and we were able to go buy soda and candy. And nobody said a word. None of those guys, but I guarantee you they probably knew we were watering it down. We were getting some money to go buy soda.
Yeah.
And, if a grandfather sent his grandson out to get beer at 5 or 6 years old, however old we were, going into this tavern, they would fucking arrest the grandfather and take the kid away, too.
Yeah. the tavern would be shut down.
Oh, the
There'd be,
tavern, yeah.
the,
But they knew.
the county laws would change.
Well,
It'd
no,
be
the laws were the same as they are now. But the thing is, everybody knew everybody. They knew that Red's sending old, Jamie over there to get beer for him. Jamie's not drinking beer at 6 years old. You see him 5 or 6, whatever, however old we were. And I remember we both, and Jimmy's the one who came up with it. How did we get that extra bucket? I think he asked for the bucket to play with or something, and we ended up just keeping it and hiding it. And, yeah, that's how we got an extra bucket, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think he said, I'd love to have that bucket so I can make forts for my army men. I think that's what he said. Can I get a bucket to – and that's the guy, the bartender's like, sure, here, take it. But that was the beginning of the scam. And we were able to go buy soda and, candy. But that was 2 6-year-olds thinking, hey, we don't have to ask for money. We can just fill up their beer. Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, but see, that's some of the funny memories you get from childhood that's not safe.
Yeah.
A not safe child. The best not safe story I have in childhood is when I learned about water in our runoff water for our streets. We have these grates, and they're just the right size for a bicycle tire to fit in, and it stops it instantly, okay? So you got to watch out whenever you come over to America to visit me, bro. Just when you're bicycling, give a wide berth to that and train tracks. And but the point is, I'm flying down this hill where we lived. Wildwood Village was the name of this place. And I'm flying down this little hill, and my buddy's with me. My front tire goes into the grate. I go flying over the handlebars. The bike came to an instant stop. It was the coolest thing. I landed on the concrete, bumped my head. I got sick because I had a concussion. But honestly, it was the best feeling flying through the air like that until that sudden stop. And
so it's not the falling that hurts; it's the fucking hitting of the ground that hurts.
That's exactly it. But that's an unsafe childhood memory. I've got to be scarred by it. Triggered. I'm triggered.
Trigger warning. Trigger warning on it.
Oh Lord.
You got PTSD, self-diagnosed. No, you can look at how we lived and the generations before us, where there wasn't an element of this like cotton wooling of your children, and we turned out okay, a bit dysfunctional, but we turned out okay. But to play devil's advocate on it, there is sort of an element of additional sort of like cotton wool that we have to wrap our kids in nowadays because there's just a lot more horrible cunts about.
Right.
Yeah. Because it's just the world's become desensitized to a certain extent of bad behavior, of sort of like paedophilia and stuff like that, and rape and abuse and assault.
But that comes from a bad, non-priority justice system.
Yeah.
In all honesty, that's because of our justice system. The priorities are to go after these bullshit things, and so you log jam the court up with that stuff, and then you don't prosecute the real stuff, or if they do, I was shocked the first time I got put on grand jury in my county, and this guy had, I'm not getting into, anyways, the poor woman next to me, I just saw a couple of the pictures, and I'm like, yeah, I understand what this is. And this poor woman next to me is leafing through every page. And I look over at the prosecutor, and I said, you can tell her she does not have to look at all these. She is crying, dude. This old lady is decimated by this, by having to look at this. To the judge, that's this. And he goes, I can't tell her what to do. And I look at her. She's a fellow grand jury member. And I said, you don't have to look at every picture. You know what that is. And that's all I'm going to say on that situation. I can't really get in. But you know what the guy got? 3 years for having that kind of material. And I was like, that's a fucking offense that he should have got. Sorry, that kind of thing, you can't fix it. It's like any other perversion. There are some perversions you can't fix, and that's one of them. And it always leads, it scales upward. because now, so they don't get caught, they're gonna kill that person, so they can't talk, and that it's an escalation. And the courts, I think it's a lack of. It's we got to worry. We can you can't rehabilitate that. Anyways, I'm done on that rant. But yeah, that was.
You can rehabilitate. It's called hammers and fucking battery acid.
Yeah.
That's the only reason you can rehabilitate that. No, but again, it's going to come full circle. You know, it's going to get to the point where, and it will happen on I won't say national scale, but it'll become national news, where one of these people who's become offended, who's taken sort of like offence to something so minor, like the smell of meat or yada yada yada, and it's going to go to court, and then all of a sudden it's going to become precedence until somebody loses their life over some bullshit, because no, please don't do that, please don't do that.
Right.
Like one of these people that who obstruct police officers when they're trying to make an arrest, and it's going to get to the point where a police officer will try and make an arrest. For example, there's a young Middle Eastern man or woman who's been seen in an area that acting suspiciously in an area, and it's sort of drawn the attention of law enforcement or a certain person who realises that something's not right here. They go and try and intervene and say, what you're doing here, whatever, make an arrest or stop and search, whatever. And you get all these do-gooders getting their fucking mobile phones out, screaming pig, and intervening in this arrest. And all of a sudden, this person, and I don't wish to stereotype, but this person then pulls out a fucking detonator device and blows up, you know what I mean, killing X amount of people, when that could have been stopped if it wasn't for the do-gooders or these people intervening. Or that's just a very sort of broad, you know, example of but that's where we're going. That's where it's going to happen until someone goes, do you know something? This is getting out of hand. People are now dead because of people's emotions and opinions and feelings. You know.
Yep.
Let the people do the job. There's a big thing in London out at the minute, and you see all over the internet people going, "Oh yeah, knife." Or if you're going to go to Britain, you're going to get stabbed. It's not the case, but there is a large amount of knife crime happening in London, because that's just the nature of the beast.
Yep.
London's a fucking toilet, and one of the ways that you can stop knife crime is stopping the people from carrying. When I say it again, I'm not going to go down this Second Amendment route or anything like that. But if you're a 13-year-old boy who lives in an area of large knife crime, carrying around a Rambo knife with you, it's not for good reasons. You don't need a Rambo knife in inner city London at 13-year-old. The only reason you're carrying it is to fucking stick into another human being. So they're bringing out this thing where they're going to do stop and searches, where the police can go, okay, what are you doing, where you're going, right, we're going to search you for knives.
Well,
you know?
The EU's whole knife laws have gotten so retarded. You can order it, even in Germany. You can order a Glock knife made in Austria, and, you know, it's for camping. The Glock knife with the sawback, it's, you know, that's a decent knife for camping, so you can do, you know, if you're processing some wood, you want to do some, you know, levering, some batoning of the wood to get it down to smaller parts so you can start a fire or whatever. For camping, there's a legit purpose for that. Oh, now in the EU, brother, and EU proper, by their laws, in Germany too, you cannot have one at all unless it's in a locked box. You can't have a flick knife, which is a retarded thing, because any knife can be made to be one-handed opening by working it a lot and making it looser. So, anyways, does it seem like you need to drop anchor and get out of old Kaiser's castle, brother?
Yeah, I've got a few. We'll just on finishing on that one, brother. It's just this stop and search. The only people that are opposing it are either criminals themselves who've got something to hide, or the left-wing soft cunts.
Yep.
That it's for a reason. If a police officer stopped my 11-year-old son and said, I'm going to stop you, I'm going to search you, and it was for legitimate reasons, and he wasn't harassed or mistreated anywhere, who gives a fuck? You know what I mean?
Right.
And people don't tread on me, stamping their feet, you can't do this, you can't do this. Look, let the police officer do his job. If you're stopping a young lad, searching him for a knife, and he finds a knife on him. He could have saved somebody's life,
You
or
know,
three people's lives. You know,
it's so funny, man. Back in the 50s and 60s, kids would bring their rifles to school for marksmanship training, okay? Well, that stuff wasn't my reality in the 80s when I was in high school, but deer season was. And we had a sheriff's deputy, Carrie, and Carrie'd be out in his car, and I came in with my Jeep, shotgun in the rack, displayed the way it's supposed to be. There's no bullets in it. Chamber's open. That's just the way you had to carry it back in the day. And I'm going hunting. And Carrie'd come out, and he'd park right there because all of us boys with our Jeeps and pickups would park in a certain area of the parking lot, and he knew where we were going. And he goes, "When you come out, you're leaving." Okay.
you're not loitering.
Yeah, you're not going
Getting
back.
into trouble.
Yeah, you're not going back into school if you come out, basically, because he's not gonna take the chance that you're going in with a shotgun, even though we weren't. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And guess how many school shootings we had?
Virtually none.
None. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't until Columbine, and they made those two fuckers famous, and I'll never talk about their names, any of these morons that do this shit, because that's the media's fault, and it's not just the judiciary's fault, and we're talking internationally too. It's also the media's fault. They hype this garbage. People know they're going to get attention for their cause, for whatever, and that's why they do it. And then the media shouts out their names. Oh, we know who it is. We know it was da-da-da-da-da. And he comes from blah, 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 blah. And this is what it's about. No, you give the basic who, what, when, where, why, and how. But you do not have to who, what, when, where, why, and how. I slowed it down so everybody could hear the 5 W's and the 1 H. You give those basic facts. You don't interject opinion in it. You don't need to know the motive necessarily. You just need to know that this is what happened on this date, and that's it. And you cover it one time. You don't sensationalize it for 2 or 3 weeks to push a political opinion.
Try and drive legislation.
Exactly.
That's not done in the media. That's done in the House of Congress or the House of Parliament. You know what I mean? It just comes down to that.
Yeah, but if they didn't have that unending narrative to push, and they'll bring up shit from. They still bring up Columbine to this day.
Yeah, because it's a talking point. And
yeah,
it's to sway decisions again, to push narrative. Yeah, and again, it's the dancing on people's opinions, hoping people will get offended and therefore join a narrative, join a cause, sway decision. And that's what it comes down to, brother.
Yep.
But that's me. I've got a scoot.
All right, brother.
It's been a pleasure. And hopefully, when this goes out, I'll be there to have a chat with those who choose to listen. And again, raise a glass, have a good one, and be safe.
All right. Thank you all for stopping by Kaiser's Castle. I want to thank Baz. This has been a spirited talk. And remember, folks, there is no right enunciated in the Constitution, on the Bill of Rights, in those amendments that say you have a right not to be offended or a right not to have your feelings hurt. With that being said, thank you for stopping by Kaiser's Castle. I will slowly raise the drawbridge once the last person is finished their coffee, tea, their soda, or their adult libation. Shuff out.